Alright, welcome back to the Lua introduction, and in this lecture we're going to talk about tables. Now, I'm not talking about the tables that you sit at. I'm actually talking about the tables where we put in some data. And if any of you have maybe programmed in another language, this is very similar to arrays, let's say. However, they have a unique twist on them. So let's just make a new table, which we're going to call days. And we're just going to put in, so how to initialize this is basically with these curly brackets. And then inside we're going to write Monday, because that is a day. And then we have Tuesday. And we're going to have Wednesday. And let's also put in Thursday and Friday. Why not? There you go. So every weekday right now is in there. And you can just put in, you separate each element with a comma here. And yeah, and what we're going to do is, let's just see what happens if we print this, right? So print days, and let's see what comes out of this. Well, a whole bunch of jumbled mess, because we actually have to specify, okay, what do we want? So let's just put in a day, just for the sake of argument here, and then let's say days. Now, how do we access each of these members? Well, we take these brackets here, and inside of them we put basically the index of whatever we want. So if we put in a 1, and then it's going to print out Monday. And let's just do this. And as you can see, a day, Monday. Now, for all of you who have programmed in another language, yes, the index starts at 1 instead of a 0, because this is how Lua works. Lua's indices and index starts at 1. It's very important. If you don't know what that means, just be sure to know this is basically the first element, the second element, and this is how you can access them, right? So if we put in a 3, then we would expect Wednesday to come out, and of course, Wednesdays be printed out. That's great. So that's great, but what else can we do? Well, we can actually have a special type of for loop for these tables, and I'm going to quickly write this out and then explain what happens here. So in this loop, we can simply go through each of the elements, and then we can, for example, say something like value, and then something like that. So here the idea is that these are basically key value pairs, right? So we have a key, which is just our index at this moment in time. So the key is just, hey, give me the first element, and then the value is whatever is written in here. In this case, a string containing Monday, right? And if we have a 3, then we get returned the string containing Wednesday. And in this case, we're just going through each of these pairs and printing out the value. Let's just run through this, and as you can see, for example, we're just gonna get Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Now, the great thing about that is that if we add another day, for example, then this just works automatically. Let's also get the comma out of there. And yeah, now maybe we want to add in a new day. So let's just do that. Table.insert is the function that needs to be called. Then we pass it our table, and then we pass it where is this supposed to go. So this is going to go in position 6, and this is going to be Saturday. And then we're just going to copy this, and we're going to do another one, and this is going to be Sunday. Not Sundays, but Sunday. Right. Now, if we run this, of course, nothing really will change, because this change only happens after the for loop. But this is a great opportunity to show you another for loop, and what we can do is, we can do the normal for loop as we've seen, right? Starting at 1, and then using the same thing that we have done with the strings. So how can you get the length of the string? You just use the hashtag symbol and then write the name of the table in this case, right? And this will get you also the length of the table. And then if we increase this by 1, we can actually just print out, and then we can say, let's say weekday number I is equal to days I, right? And in this case, we can just print out each of these days. So, well, actually, it's not a weekday, it's just day. Let's say day number. There you go. And let's run this. As you can see, works like a charm, right? day number 1 is Monday, and so on until you get to day number 7, which is Sunday. And yeah, so those are some basic things you can do with tables. There's also another thing that's very important. The elements inside of a table don't all have to be the same type, right? So I can have a 10 here and a 20, like a 59 here, and I can have a, another table if I want to in there as well. They don't have to be the same type, and that's very important. And also, what I can also do is I can say, well, maybe I want a person, and maybe the first name of that person is going to be John, and then the last name of that person is going to be Smith, right? And I want to print out what's going on here. So let's print out person, right? And what are we going to print out? Well, how can we get this? Well, we can just say, person 1, right? So then we're going to get John. And as you can see, that doesn't work. Interesting, isn't it? Why doesn't that work? Well, because we've actually specified the key here. So what we need to do is we actually need to put in first name here, and then it's going to work, because this is now the key to getting the value John. And as you can see, then John actually prints out. And there was another even easier way to do this, and we can just specify this person, variable person, and then we write a dot, and then as you can see, I can actually get both of those members just by using the dot operator here, basically. So those are 2 ways of actually getting this, if you specify the key beforehand, right? So if we then run this, person is John Smith. Right, and that is basically it with tables. So this might be a little bit confusing. This is definitely a little bit more involved. I definitely advise you to play around with this a little bit. Just, make a table, look at it a little bit, put in a few different values, assign it a few different key and value pairs, and just play around with it a little bit. I'm of course always here to answer any questions if you have them. And yeah.